Beru responded enthusiastically to Suho's command, but soon looked puzzled. "But to kill those wretched fools, shouldn't we attack them from behind?" Suho clarified. "What are you talking about? We're going to mine." Frothing at the mouth, Beru jumped up, shouting in disbelief. He couldn't comprehend why Suho would use the mighty power of the Monarch of Shadows for such a mundane task. To Beru, the idea of utilizing such incredible force for mining was unimaginable, especially when cosmic battles with armies numbering in the millions were being fought. Suho, maintaining a realistic perspective, explained, "I understand that, but my powers are currently limited to just 3 weakened goblins. We need to be realistic. I imagine my father was like this when he was weak, right?" Beru, still in disbelief, started to protest, but Suho reminded him of their conversation the previous night. On the day Suho was on his way back home from the hospital, Beru spoke with a serious expression, outlining their mission into 3 main tasks. First, they needed to protect Earth from threats from outer universes. This involved entering dungeons and hunting magic beasts, which would help Suho's level gradually increase, making him stronger and Earth safer. Second, they had to locate and rescue the missing Lady Hein. Although Beru didn't know her whereabouts, he suggested that capturing beings from outer universes might eventually provide some clues. The third and most important task was for Beru to recover his strength and return to the battlefield where the Monarch of Shadows awaited. With Beru being a key force, his absence made the balance of the war precarious. Curious about Beru's reduced size, Suho asked how he could regain his strength. Beru revealed that he needed to eat, giving a wicked smile. He recounted a tale from a forgotten world where the Ant Queen, in her determination to create the ultimate soldier, conceived a horrifying monster with the skill Devour. This creature absorbed some of the target's mana and knowledge by consuming them. Reflecting on a distant memory, Beru revealed his innate skill, Devour. This ability allowed him to increase his strength by consuming either humans or magic beasts. While it was an inefficient method in the past, it was now their best option. Suho reminded himself that Beru lacked humanity, having never been human. The sight of the monster drooling at the thought of eating humans confirmed his monstrous nature. Suho firmly instructed Beru not to eat just any human. When Beru questioned him, Suho clarified that if he had to consume humans, he should only target the bad ones. Hearing this, Beru narrowed his eyes and remarked that Suho's father had given him the same command long ago, telling him to eat only the wicked. Curious, Suho asked about the criteria for wickedness. Beru faintly smiled and explained that wicked people were those who harmed the young monarch. After their chat, they returned to their task at hand. Suho reminded Beru of his earlier words, only to have Beru suggest entering the dungeon to level up. Suho countered with practicality, noting that as an E-rank hunter, he couldn't join assault teams, and his role was limited to labor-intensive, non-combat tasks. He planned to get re-evaluated once his mana increased enough to be at least a D rank. The system of dividing hunter grades was still new, with many errors in the measurement devices. Suho proposed focusing on what they could do for now. His laughter made Beru uneasy. Suho recalled their third task, recharging Beru's mana. Suho suggested using mana crystals, given Beru's ability to devour. Beru admitted that while consuming magic stones could recharge his mana, it was inefficient. Suho, undeterred, suggested eating more of them, pointing out that the ones they found in the dungeon were free. Beru responded with a deflated groan, realizing the practicality of Suho's plan. Suho joined the other miners as they passed through the gate into the dungeon. This dungeon was completely different from the Shadow Dungeon. Instead of a vast wasteland city, it was a winding cave. The luminescent mushrooms and glowing fireflies scattered throughout ensured the cave wasn't very dark, enhancing the atmosphere. The sound of pickaxes at work began to echo through the cave as the experienced miners fell into a uniform, rhythmic pattern. Suddenly, the sounds halted as the miners' attention shifted to Suho and the shadow goblins he was directing. The 3 shadow goblins, laughing wickedly, were mining with their pickaxes, doing their master's bidding. The miners were naturally surprised, Traditional summoning skills like explosive bug or sleep butterfly offered assistance in battles where the summoner directed the creatures from behind, like a Pokemon trainer. Seeing summoned creatures performing manual labor was unexpected. "Wow, I didn't know summoning skills could do that," one miner remarked, marveling at the sight of the shadow goblins working diligently. Another miner observed, "I guess that's one way to use them." The shadow goblins, although slightly smaller and less strong than regular goblins, were still effective in swinging their pickaxes. Their most significant quality was their tirelessness. No matter how much they dug, they never seemed to fatigue. Whenever their stamina waned, Suho's mana flowed into them, recharging their strength. The miners were amazed by the shadow goblins' capabilities and cheered Suho on. They realized that all the negative talk about summoning skills was unfounded and praised Suho's ability. Motivated by the new recruit, the seasoned miners resumed their work with renewed enthusiasm, determined not to be outdone. The sight of stout goblins working diligently alongside the miners created a pleasant and encouraging atmosphere. From behind the crew, Beru watched the heartwarming scene while chewing on mana crystals like cookies, grumbling about the scoundrels who dared to overlook the true power of the Monarch of Shadows. As the E-rank miners happily continued to dig, the other teams, consisting of D-rank hunters and above, ventured deeper into the dungeon. "This dungeon is empty," one of the hunters remarked. "Right, the only thing in here are those wolves that keep popping out," another agreed. They complained about their luck, as wolf hides didn't fetch much money. Despite their disappointment, they diligently skinned the wolves and occasionally found mana crystals in the corpses. The cart they brought was gradually filling up with wolf hides. Suddenly, one of the assault team hunters called out, spotting something ahead. A massive ruin loomed in the distance, making the hunters tense up and scan their surroundings more vigilantly. The structure suggested the presence of a boss-level monster, which was unusual and potentially dangerous for a D-rank dungeon. "What is this? What could be inside to have such ruins here?" the hunters murmured, their apprehension growing. Some suggested going back to request additional support. The leader of the assault team, with a cautious expression, carefully examined the area as he led them forward. The captain instructed the team to be quiet, noting that his tracking skill detected no signs of magic beasts. The hunters were puzzled by the presence of the structure, as it suggested something unusual. The captain, with a faint smile, speculated that there might be hidden treasure instead of a boss monster, exciting the hunters at the prospect. The hunters knew that besides mana crystals and wolf hide, dungeons could hold items of varying rarities that could enhance their powers, especially since their ranks determined their growth. One of the hunters called out, spotting a sword stuck in the center of the ruins. The unusual-looking sword radiated an eerie aura, and the hunters' eyes filled with greed. They celebrated their find, believing they had hit the jackpot. The hunter with the most strength, eager to claim the weapon, stepped forward. Ignoring the captain's caution to handle it carefully, he gripped the sword's hilt. As he tried to pull it out, he heard a booming voice in his head. "Who dares covet the Monarch of Fang's sword?"